Welcome everyone to this Java tutorial. So today we'll learn about Java static variable. So the best explanation I found about Java static variable is that every static variable belongs to the class and not to the reference of the class. And we can also say that a static variable is like a global variable. So let's practice that a little bit and see the difference between static and non-static variable and why you should avoid using static variable. So I have just created a project with two classes, one with a main method to execute my program and one empty class person. So first of all, let's create a non-static variable. So it's non-static variable. So for example, let's create a primitive integer non-static var equal to 0. So this is an instance variable and a non-static variable. So to create a static variable, we have just to add the keyword static. So public with the keyword static to create a static variable. So here we have a static variable. So in my main method, let's create a new person. So we create a reference type of my class person equal new person. So I have just created the first person. So let's change the value of my two variable. So equal 55, for example, and the value of the static variable. So I have just changed the value of my two variable just here. And let's create a new instance of person. So person 2. So in my second person, I didn't change any variable. But in my first instance person, I have changed two variable. I have just put 55 for these two variable. So let's display the result of the variable in my instance person 2. So print line. So for static var, and I will also print the value of non-static var. So here, to access my value of my static value, I will just use my reference type just here, and here I will get my static var. Then I will display my non-static variable. So that's all. So let's display the result. So as you see in the console just here, the value of the static variable for person 2 is equal to 55, and for non-static variable is equal to 0. But I didn't change any value. I never changed the static var of my instance person 2. That's because it's a static variable. And in static variable, there is only one copy. So always one copy of static variable. So there is only one copy of this variable. But for non-static variable, every time I create an instance of person, so I create a non-static variable. But in Java programming language, it's not advised to use Java static variable. You have to avoid using static because we can get many trouble using it. But you can use it for constant, for example. So if you have a person, I don't know, for example, init, here we have, for example, to create a constant, you have to put final. And here, string. So avoid using a static variable if it's not a constant. So here, this value will never change because it's final. For example, in my person one, I will try to change the value of init equal to another string. So I can do that because my static variable is final. So I can't override the value. So it's you have to avoid using static variable on your program because there is always one copy related to the class. So for example, if you run your program, two of your program on the same JVM, you can have big trouble. And it's a global state, not very oriented, object oriented. And the goal of programming with Java is doing some encapsulation and some object-oriented programming. And we can also access the value of a static variable just using the class. So here, for example, to access my static variable, I just can use person. So it's working. Run 55 0. So I can access instance variable by just by the name of class and not by the reference type of my class. So remember that the best use of static variable is with constant if you don't want to have some trouble on your Java program. So thank you, see you next time, and don't hesitate to subscribe for more. See you.